So we're going to do chapter 6 lab, that is lab 5, okay, which you're going to submit this week, the lab 5. And as I told you, either you can use your print or you can download this file from the folio, okay? So in the textbook, you have to go to page number 211 if you're using 5th or 6th. Just verify your version, but whatever version you're in, go to the chapter 6 Pacific Trial Resort case study page. Okay. So in version 5, it is 211. 209. Okay, have your folder ready, have your instructions ready. Your current file looks like this, and with all the things that we are going to apply based on the things that you learned in chapter 6, we are going to make it to look like this from this. Okay, so we are going to bring all the changes by applying the concepts that you learned from chapter 6. So first create your folder. As usual, you have to copy the previous folder, chapter 5, and paste and rename that copy file as chapter 6. Okay. Make sure you're in this folder, chapter 6 folder. You're going to do all the changes in chapter 6. So make sure you're in the correct folder. In the Visual Studio Code, go to File, click Open Folder. And go to your current folder. Okay, so you're here. So let's read the instructions and get started with the lab. Create a new folder, have everything ready. Everything is like, we're going to do all these 5 tasks. The task 1 is always all set. You have the current folder. Task 2, you're going to work on the external style sheet. So launch a text editor and open Pacific.css external style sheet. So in your folder, open the Pacific.css. Let me read the instructions. First one, the body element selector. Body element selector, change the background color to light blue. Add style declaration to display linear gradient that blends from white to light blue and does not repeat. Remember, we learned about linear gradient. For that, you have to use background image property because that gives you the image feeling without using the image. By mixing the colors together, we are giving that image feeling. Okay. So the property that we are going to use, background hyphen image, and since they said it is linear gradient, the value is going to be linear gradient, and it starts from white to blue, does not repeat. So this is the property that we have to do in the body element selector, and we have to change the background color light blue. So these are the 2 things that we are going to change in the body element selector. So go to body element selector. Whatever you have here, whatever you have added in the last week, along with that, you're going to add new property. First thing, let's do the background color change. So right now it is white color. If you click on your current folder, it is in white color. But we are going to change the background color to blue, body background color to blue. We are doing it for the browsers that doesn't support this linear gradient. So we are just changing the background color from white to the color value given here, 902C7E3. You can see there will be repetition. You might have used this color somewhere. Always the repetition will make your website look good. So next, we're going to do the background linear gradient. For that, the property that you have to use is background hyphen image. And then here you have to use linear gradient. If you click, your Visual Studio Code will give you the option to select this attribute. And if you read the instructions again clearly, to bottom, linear gradient that blends from white to blue. Okay, so white to blue means in the top it is white, in the bottom it is blue. So we can say to bottom. It is moving towards bottom. Starts with white. So the direction in the linear gradient, you have to specify the direction as the first parameter. And the second parameter is the starting color. Here it is white. And the third parameter, you have to specify the blue. Okay, so always there will be repetition. You have to use this technique in your assignment as well. The repetition will give a good look in your website. So whatever background color you have mentioned, we are repeating it here. Save, and then you can refresh the screen. So it will look like this. Okay, the linear gradient value, you can see it starts from white. Okay, and then it moves towards this. It looks like this. So if for some browsers which does not support the linear gradient, it will be like fully blue based on the color we have given. But for the advanced browser with the advanced system, which all of you have, it should look like this with the linear gradient starting with white and ending with this blue. So we have done this instruction correctly. The next one, the wrapper ID selector. Add a new selector for an ID named wrapper. Configure the wrapper ID to be centered with a width 80%, white background color, minimum width 960 pixel, maximum width 2048 pixel, and 3 pixel offset dark box shadow. So look at this, what we are going to do. Here, I'm not sure whether you are able to see the box shadow. A light box shadow you can see here. We are going to bring that effect. And then you can see it is centered. The spot is actually the wrapper ID is this area, starting from here to here. If you look at the HTML in index.html, you can see where is the wrapper ID. Do you see the wrapper ID? No. If you don't have the wrapper ID, then we have to add the wrapper ID later. We are going to do it later. But right now, let's add the CSS. The wrapper ID is going to cover everything, okay, from here to here. So for that wrapper ID, we are adding the instructions. Okay, after this body element selector, I'm going to add a wrapper ID, which we are going to add later. First, let's add the instructions. ID wrapper. The selector is wrapper ID. Okay, so it will give you this error because we didn't add that wrapper ID in HTML. That's why it gives that error. Okay, so let's read the instruction. First thing, centering. How can we do the centering? Margin left auto, margin right auto, and then with 80%. Agree? Recall. Margin left auto, margin right auto with 80%. Remember? So that one. Either you can say margin left auto, right auto, or simply you can say margin auto. That also will work. Margin auto. So that will make it centered. And we are saying that centering, you can feel the centering when the width is not 100%. If the width is 100%, you will not feel centering. The reason is it will just flow throughout your screen and you will not feel the centering. So to make sure it is centered, your width should not be 80 to feel that. You will not see the result because we don't have the wrapper ID. So let's keep working and then let's add the wrapper ID later on. Minimum width. They have mentioned the minimum width. So if you recall why we use minimum width, to avoid content jumping problem. Okay. So to avoid content, Yeah, to avoid content jumping problem, 960 pixel. And then we are going to specify maximum width. Maximum width will be used to avoid content stretching problem. So to avoid that, we are using maximum width. And then they have mentioned that there should be a box shadow for this wrapper ID. You can see box shadow. If you recall the box shadow property, 3 pixel, horizontal offset 3 pixel, vertical offset 3 pixel radius, and this is the color, the blue color. We have to mention that. Box shadow. You can see the property here in the drop down. And the values are going to be 3 pixel horizontal, 3 pixel vertical, 3 pixel radius, and the color is going to be, you can just use the shorthand notation. See, if you're curious about how it is going to look like, maybe you can add the wrapper ID to see how it looks like. Okay. Maybe go to the index.html and go to the div that you have created. Oh, we don't have the div here. Create a div ID here. Okay. Create after the body tag. After the body tag. Okay. Careful. After the body tag, you have to create a div ID. Before the header tag, after the body tag. ID wrapper, right? So ID name wrapper. That's why we have used the hash symbol that. Here you have to specify the ID name. And this div ID where you have to close it. It will automatically create the closing tag. Cut that closing tag and put it, see where you have to put it. If it comes after the body tag, it should close before the body tag. Remember the next loop concepts. Okay, first in, last out, last in, first out. According to that order, you have to close this div tag. Maybe not. Where is the footer? Yeah, footer main, everything is here. Maybe this main should close here. Don't know whether it makes any changes, but yeah, it should be between the footer and we are opening it between the body and header. So it should be before the body. Let's close this and see how it works. You can see this, but did we forget anything else for the wrapper ID? Do we need to change the background color of the wrapper ID? Yes, we have to change the background color to white. We missed that point. So you can see, let's see the background color to be white. So we missed that. So we have to add the background color to be white. Save. You can see now we are on the track. Even we have added the box shadow here. You can look at the box shadow, wrapper ID. This is the wrapper ID. In the wrapper ID, you can see the box shadow that we have added. Looks good. Okay. So the next property that we are going to add, the header element selector. Remove the declaration for the line height and intended text. Add declaration to configure 60 pixel height, center text, 15 pixel top padding. So in the header element selector, here, this is the header element selector. Like this. And we have to change it to be like this. For that, what are the stuff that we have to add? They have given that. Center the text so that it looks like this. Centering. We have to make it center. We have to add some padding. You can see the padding is not here properly. We're adding padding. We are centering the text with all the instructions given. Okay. So for that, go to the header element selector. Go to the header element selector. And you have to specify text align. And then padding should be 15 pixel. Padding should be 15 pixel and 60 pixel line height need, yeah, height should be 60 pixel. First, let's add the padding. If you use one value, you recall one value will be applied on all four sides. So the 15 pixel padding will be applied on four sides. Did they mention all four sides or only top? So padding top, 15 pixel top padding. They have mentioned it is only top padding. So let's say it is, if you recall the property name for the top padding, you have to say padding top, 15 pixel. And also you have to mention the line height 60 pixel. So there is no height property. So let's add height property here. Which is 60 pixel. So that is the height of the header is going to be the 60 pixel. Save. Oh, so padding top 15 pixel has some effect on that. You can see that. Let's see. Background color. Line height should be removed. Okay. Yeah. So we didn't remove the line height. Remove declaration for line height and intended text. So we have to remove these two declaration. So change the line height, remove the line height and also the text intent. Just delete these two, which we have added in the last class. Delete these two. If you refresh the screen, it's kind of okay right now. Yes. Okay, this is how it should look like in the header. The next one element selector. Add a start declaration to configure 0 top margin. Still, you can see there is some space around which we want to avoid, that we are going to avoid using the margin property of heading. Okay, so go to H1 element selector. We don't have any, yeah, we have H1 element selector here, where we have added the margin bottom 0. Okay, now we are going to add one more thing, margin top 0. So you can see the property margin top 0. Save and refresh the screen. You can see now it is perfectly in the correct space orientation. Yeah. Margin top 0. So that is about H1. Nav element selector. You can see there are few changes in the nav. This nav doesn't look good. We are going to change it to look like this. So there are a lot of things that we are going to do with the nav. Change the background color to white. Add declaration to configure the center text and one EM padding. So that we are going to do 3 changes in the nav. So go to nav element selector, where right now you have this blue color. We are going to change that color to white. So for the white color, you can use 3 hexadecimal. White, font weight bold, let it be like that. And the text align center, let's make it text align center. Text align center. And also padding. You know the padding, you can look at this. There is no padding here. There is congested. So we're going to add some space around this area so that it will look like this. So this padding will bring the space. So for that, we're going to add padding 1 EM. The EM unit means from the current size, one size bigger, double the size. It's like percentage. You can see we brought that change. Now it looks exactly like this. So that is now EM selector. We have centered it, added some padding, and then color changed. next one, the main element selector. Add a new selector for the main element. That means so far we don't have the main element selector. Is it so? Yeah, it seems like we don't have main element selector so far. We're going to add it now. And what we're going to do in that, code declaration to configure 1 pixel top padding, 20 pixel right padding, 20 pixel bottom padding, and 20 pixel left padding. Internet Explorer does not support default styles for HTML5 main element. So add the following declaration to stop displaying the property. So why we are doing this display property value block is for the old browsers, the browsers which does not recognize this change. For that, according to the accessibility criteria, we are just preparing the website so that if someone opens this website in an old browser, they should not see any big differences. For that, we are adding this display block. That is accessibility thing that we are doing. So go to your code and wherever you can just add it anywhere. Okay, I'm just adding this code since we are working on nav. The next thing I'm going to add after the nav is the main element selector. So there we are adding padding, top, top, right, bottom, left, right? So according to that value, 20 pixel right, 20 pixel bottom, and 20 pixel left. So clockwise direction. And for the accessibility, for the old browsers, if it cannot understand this padding, all those stuff, just display block without any changes. You will not see big differences here. You will see the main element selector is nothing but this area. Look at the code. Where is the main element selector? If you go to your index.html, your main, if it doesn't represent this, please change it. If your main is after the footer area, please before the footer area. The main should open after this image and it should end before the footer. That means this white area that you see here, right after the image and before the footer, that area before this footer, that white area is the main area. So what we have done here, we have added 1 pixel in the left, one pixel in the top, 20 pixel, 20 pixel, and 20 pixel in the bottom. So that change we have done in this main area. So make sure you have your main that close before footer and opens after the image. And then we have added the CSS for that, like adding the padding. So if you're done with this main element selector, let me, so the next one, H2 element selector. Add a style declaration to configure 1 pixel offset gray. Text to shadow. Where is H2? Here. You can see the H2 here. So here we are going to add some text shadow. So go to your H2 and right now we have only this the color and the font family here. And we're going to add text shadow. Now how it will work? Horizontal offset, vertical offset, radius, and the color. So everything is going to be 1 pixel here. You should not give more shadow for the text, else it won't be clear. Clarity will be missing. So just we are adding 1 pixel as per the instruction. And we're going to add the gray color shadow for that because it is black color font. Save. And refresh the screen. Are you able to see the text shadow? Okay, let me check it again. Oh, there are 2 semicolons. Save. The next one, the footer element selector. Add a declaration to configure 2 EM padding. Look at this. The footer seems congested. The footer seems very, we can add some more space here because it looks like this. So we are going to add some more space here. Okay. So go to the footer area. Right now we have all these centering or italic, everything is there. We are going to add one more thing for padding. Just say padding 2 EM. So from the current size, double the size space will be added around that all four sides. So you can see now there are a lot of spaces. 2 EMs padding have been added here. So you can see the space. Okay. So next instruction. Home Hero ID selector. Add a new selector for an ID named Home Hero. Code declaration to configure 300 pixel height to display code course.jpg background image to fill the space without repeating. In Youth Hero, ID Hero also. So what we're going to do here, so we have added the HTML element here, right? So always it will be very convenient in terms of not only with the image. In most cases, it will be convenient if you convert your HTML to the CSS property as much as possible. So according to that principle, we are going to change this image tag. We are going to delete it and put that image as a background image so that we have a little bit more flexibility in customizing the image or making it designing, applying some designs. It will be very easy. So we are going to add that image as a background image. For that, we are going to add Home Hero. Home Hero is the ID, okay? So we're going to create a new ID. ID means has symbol. Home Hero is the name that they refer. So let's follow their instructions and add Home Hero. And this is going to be the background image, right? So to add an image as a background image, you have to use the property background image. And remember, for the image, the attribute is URL. For the tag, it is SRC. For the background image, it is URL. Inside the URL, you have to simply give the image. Post.jpg is the image name. They have mentioned that the height should be 300. So I'm specifying the height to be 300 pixel. And no repetition. It will not be repeated, but in case if someone has a very big monitor, in that case also it should not get repeated. So for that, we are adding no repeat property. So we're going to do it for all images in all three pages. In Youths page also we have image. In Activities page also we have image. Remember, we didn't apply this wrapper ID in other pages, so that's why you don't see that. But let's first change the background image. Okay. So for Youths, we are going to create a new ID. For Activities, we are going to create a new ID. So let's add it first. I'm going to copy this code and paste it 2 times. One for Youth Hero and one for the another page, Activities page. So the Home Hero, I'm going to change it to Youth Hero. That's what they have mentioned in the instructions, Youth Hero. So I'm going to change the name of the ID from Home Hero to Youth Hero. So the image is from coast JPG to youth.jpg. Other things, it will be same. And the third, that for the third page, we're going to say Try Hero. Try. And the image is going to be trial.jpg. Okay. So you will not see any of these things none of these things will get reflected in your page because we have to change our index, the HTML pages accordingly. Okay. So let's read the instructions for changing the HTML page. So task 2 is done. We are all good with the IDs. We are all good with the CSS. We're going to change the HTML. First thing, we have to add the code tag. We have already added the code tag. Look at this. We have added the code tag so far, right? The div tag. So we are good with that wrapper ID. Let's read the next instruction. Refer to the wireframe. Note the hero image area between the nav element selector. Locate the div element there and add an ID called Home Hero. There is no HTML or text content for this div. The purpose of this div is to create a placeholder for CSS to display the image as a background image. Remove the image tag for the course.jpg photo. Okay, let's do that. Go to the index.html. Here you can see, first you have to remove it because we're not going to use it as an image tag because that doesn't give us a much flexibility in customizing the image. So to customize the image, the best way is keep it like a background image so that you can apply the properties, CSS properties over there. Okay, here we are going to add, we already have the div ID, right? So in the div ID, create a ID. So the property is, attribute is ID. And what is the name? Home hero. Home hero. Save. That's it. Refresh the screen. Go to home. Refresh the screen. You will not, oh, it is getting repeated or something. Background size. Oh, we missed that instruction. Thank you. So let's read it again. Background size 100. Yeah, we missed that. The width and height, we have to specify it that we missed. So let's specify that. Background size 100% in the width, 100% in the height. Save. Now refresh the screen. So you can see now it looks perfect with that. For that wrapper ID, it is 100%. Not for the body element selected, but for the wrapper ID selected, it is customized very well with those properties. Now we have to do all these things that we have done in our index page. We have to do the same thing with the use page and activities page. So go to your Visual Studio Code and open the use.html page where here. First, let's create a div ID selector. Okay, where we have to add the div ID after the body element selected here before the header. So let's add a div ID wrapper. Div ID wrapper. Remember, we have done it in our index.html. So this div ID wrapper ID that covers everything. So you have to close it before the body tag. And again, if you keep the main that covers the footer area, make sure it covers before the footer area. The main should be after the image and before the footer area. The div ID that you have created, the wrapper ID should be between the closing should be between the footer and body, and the opening should be between the header and body. Okay, after you add that wrapper ID, let's add that image. Okay, so let's delete this image tag because we're going to add it like a background image. Delete it. ID. It is Ute Hero. That's what the ID name that we have added in our CSS. So we don't need to update the CSS. Or do we need to? Yeah, we have to update the CSS. We have to add that background size 100. Property that we have added. We have to add that property in both Ute Hero and Trail Hero. I'm repeating. If you missed this instruction, add that background size 100%, 100% in both Ute Hero and Trail Hero. Not only the Home Hero, you have to add it in Ute Hero and Trail Hero. Then you can see the changes. So we have added Ute Hero ID. Save. And let's refresh the screen in the Ute page. And you can see, you can change this, see the changes now. The activities page still looks like that because we had to add the wrapper ID. But the home page and Ute page got updated. Okay, now let's do the same thing in the activities page. So go to activities.html, do the same changes, go to the body element selector. After that, add the div ID wrapper. And then make sure the wrapper that ends before the body element selector, and also the same thing, your main, make sure your main element selector that ends before the footer area. Main area should be after the image and before the footer area. And the div ID wrapper should be between the body footer and body and header. So wrapper ID is all set. Now let's work on the image. Delete the image tag. Add the wrapper ID. Sorry, add the ID. This one is trial hero. Save. We have already created the image, inserted, set it as a background, everything we have done. So simply we need to update the HTML. Trail hero, save. And then now click the activities page. You can see the effect here. All the things that we have done, the other pages looks exactly, it's getting reflected in the pages. Okay. So now you have to take the screenshot of home page, use page, and activities page. So this submission for lab 5 should have 3 screenshots. And you have to zip this file and upload the zip file. Outside the zip file, you have to have the 3 screenshot of this page. Okay.